Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. A few weeks ago, we released our gear overview video, or I should say my gear overview video for 2022. And many of you asked if other members of the team were going to do their own video. And so that's what we're here to do today with John. So John has a whole selection of his different kits that he's going to be using for 2022. And what we thought we'd do is the same style of video where we just go sort of head to toe. John talks about his kit and gives us a rundown of what he's going to be using and why, some of the more cool parts, some of the more functional parts, some of the ones that sort of cross over and do both.
Yeah.
But yeah, so guys, hope you enjoy. So let's kick it off. So John, tell us a little bit about what types of kits we got in front of us here.
Well, I mean, I'm a big chest rig guy, obviously. And I started with this one, and because I never really liked plate carriers or anything like that. I found the padding a bit too cumbersome on my shoulder when I was putting the rifle up. So I was like, I think I want something a bit slicker, something a bit more streamlined. And Chris, I have the same chest rig that Chris and Phil had, which is the knockoff, the Chinese knockoff of the
DC3R, the Haley Strategic or whatever.
Yeah, and ever since then I was like, chest rigs, man, they are the cream of the crop. Because prior to that, I was just wearing a belt. I guess going from head to toe here, we're just gonna kick it off with the British Mark 6 combat helmet here. So I just got this fitted out with just a classic DPM covering. Got it with the helmet. I also came with a Desert DPM one, obviously being
useful for us.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe in like April or something like that.
But I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's the fabric covers. We talked about that in the video as well. Like, there's a huge advantage to using a fabric cover over just a painted helmet, right?
Yeah, and this actually being like a combat helmet, like it's not going to be that reflective. Like, say for example, this, which is just metal. This is plastic. I mean, it is a bit reflective. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's really nothing much. But for I think towards the end of the season last year, I was like rocking just a standard baseball hat more and more. We're not playing where we used to play at like Redcliffe, and there's no hazards really for like getting a steel beam in your head.
Yeah, that's right, definitely.
So like I just kind of made this swap over, and I was like, that's not that bad. And now that like I buzzed my head, I'm like, well, maybe I might just be going capless this summer. Time will tell.
So the other thing in terms of your head is your eye pro. So you wear glasses, right?
Yes.
So what kind of eye pro are, because I know that's been a thing we've talked about with you like in private in the past, but like what are you running now for eye pro?
Well, I have contact lenses, but I actually really struggle with getting them in.
Okay.
So it's still a work in progress, but I would like to someday. I'd like to be able to sport these, which are some ESS crossbows. I got them off Amazon. I think towards the end of last season. That's when I did a lot of my like kit buying. Is end of last season. I was like trying to figure out what worked and what didn't work and why I thought that. So I was like, I want a bit more streamlined because I have the what's those big honkers called?
The Landops, the ESS Landops.
Yeah, I have those and I still have them and my glasses can never fit underneath any of those. So I have my old ballistic pair of eye pro that is prescription that I wear underneath that. So I'd have two sets of goggles on.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's really uncomfortable. They're starting to fall apart, and I would like to, I'd like to get something new in the works. So I settled on these. I don't know if I like the black. I started playing a lot of night games last year, and like, they're super fun, a completely different style of play, and it encouraged me to go down some different routes as to some certain attachments. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I can't wear these obviously when it's dark outside. So despite having very bright lights and stuff at the field we play at, like they're not really going to cut it. So I'm thinking maybe just clear. Clear is probably best.
Yeah, or like even in like a yellow tint or something like that, it would be fine, I'm sure.
Definitely. So with that out of the way, we can get to the fun part. This is my like go-to chest rig. I love this. So like I got a pretty standard setup going. Like I got magazine pouch. I got utility tools like a multi-tool, a screwdriver, anything like that.
Yep.
One magazine. This is an elasticated section. You can squeeze to it, but it's a bit bulky. And when I want to hit the deck, I don't want it to be like puncturing a lung or anything like that.
Yeah, I feel
so I just keep one in there. I keep my radio in this one. And then I have a standard four single mag setup on the back. And on the back of the rig, I have this bit of Velcro, which I have my PTT corded through. Mm-hmm. And I also rigged up a splinter out of a German helmet cover that I had lying around that I was never going to use. I made this little dangler, and
it's a great idea.
Yeah, dude, I'm pretty pleased with it. I mean, construction-wise, but like, I have yet to field it. So, and that also connects through to on the back. And I got my batteries in here. Another very good purchase. If anyone's on the fence about having LiPo storage, I got one of these last summer.
Yeah, they don't exactly break the bank either.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
it's like $10 or something. So I just keep that in there just so I always have it like ready to go if I needed it and stuff like that.
I think it's really interesting too, the fact that you sort of made that dangler. Like, for anyone out there who is looking at their kit and is like, I wish that I had this attachment, but it doesn't exist. Like, you know, you do have the potential to make it, right?
And that's a good segue for what we're going to get to it later on in this video.
All right.
I've really cobbled together a lot of things out of my own imagination. With incorporating like sewing aspects and 3D printing. So I'm excited to talk about that.
Okay, so that chest rig that we just looked at goes with this rifle. This is your M4, right?
Yeah, it goes with my Mark 18. But I mean, prior to now, like last summer, end of last summer, I guess, actually in between seasons, I picked up these two chest rigs. And I had the AK, and I also have an Echo 1 FAL. And I was rocking the FAL a bunch in the past 2 years. And I mean, the magazines are obviously bigger, being a 7.62 rifle, but they fit inside that chest rig no problem. So I got some more dedicated items in the interim to try to like really get the most out of that kit.
Right, okay.
But using something that's designed for it as opposed to like 5.56 or...
So yeah, so let's look at the rifle since it goes with that chest rig.
Yeah, sure.
So what do you got going here?
So keen viewers of this channel will remember this old rifle being Phil's Mark 18.
That's right.
Since then, since I've gotten it, I've done some upgrades to it. For one, I got rid of, you had a streamlined stock, like a really slim guy.
The Magpul stocks on it, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I buffed that out with the bigger one because when I shoulder it, I like having the cheek press up against that. I feel it makes me feel more comfortable with the rifle.
Yeah.
We have the same optic that you run the SRS. Excellent optic. I really cannot say anything wrong about it. It's perfect. Battery life is excellent, as you know. And when we get to the front of the rifle here, that's when we get to the more exciting aspects of it. So on the right side, I have this, I don't even know what this is called. Is it just like a hand protector or something like that?
This handguard here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a handguard.
Yeah, so I just popped that on this side because, you know, I don't want if it's a cold day, which we're not foreign to, I don't want to be cutting my fingers if they're any bit cold or anything like that.
Yep.
So I just have it there. On the top here, I have, I think this is part of your old,
the old hand stop kit.
Hand stop, yeah. So I kind of Frankensteined it, and I put it up top here just so my thumb, when I cross it over, is not, if it's any bit cold, it's not going to
get
makes
bitten.
Sense. And then I have a the hand stop portion right here, or one half of them, I should say. And that's for, it kind of looks outlandish, but for me, it kind of serves a purpose. And that's like, if I'm in a quick gunfight or something like that, I can just pop up and engage targets like that. But if I wanted to take my time and actually try to land some longer shots, I use this portion to drive into my shoulder. I use that bit on my hand so I'm not putting all the pressure on my hand stop. And I'm really able to get locked in and cinched in behind that rifle.
Yeah.
Then I have the front part of it, I guess, at the tippy top right there. And if you've seen Chris's rifle, he has his set up in the same way. He has a little hand stop and then this right there. That's just for indexing. So whenever I go behind the rifle, I'm always in the same position every single time. When I transition, like my thumb is still resting on the same point, my index finger is still indexing on the same point, and I'm still gripping the hand stop in the same manner.
Yeah.
The only thing is, if I'm trying to hit that light, it's a bit more of a ring around to get to, but it's doable. And then we have this little hand stop that I 3D printed, because Chris and all the other guys were like, dude, you got to get one of these hand stops. And I was like, all right, I have a 3D printer. If I can find the files, I'll find them. And they're on Thingiverse for free. So I'm like, all right, sick.
Give it a go, yeah. And
I've had no issues with it, which is actually kind of surprising because a lot of my prints have been cracking, which is really annoying. But this is holding up remarkably well.
That's awesome.
And we have, on the top of the rifle here, on the top rail section, we have this, I forget the brand name of it, but it's this $50 flashlight, like Feyachi or something, on Amazon. It's like 1100 or 1300 lumen. So it's a bright boy, and it comes with the pressure plate, or it comes with a back panel. My pressure plate stopped working, so I said, all right, well, that's not going to work.
You're using the thumb, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
so I'm just going to use that. I think it's a bit more reliable because it's direct contact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like it's not going to go off
accidentally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we have a can on the top here because this is just covering an extension of a barrel, of the internal barrel, which goes out to about here or something like that. So I'm a bit more effective in the field now. I can reach out and kiss people a little bit further away.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I gotta say that the range that I'm able to get on this is kind of stupid for like me. I'm just used to like kind of throwing pennies in the wind, but like now I'm able to
engage, like
yeah, dude.
150 feet or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're running a slingster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Slicked out, so you don't have the padding.
Yeah, I'm a real slick daddy here today, and I got a slingster, and it's the naked slingster. So there's no additional padding, unlike what you, Chris, Pat,
Cal.
and Cal, yeah. All fields. I guess I just have an aversion to like padding and stuff like that because I just deem it unnecessary.
Yep.
So like it does the job. It's really it hasn't been an issue, and I've had it for almost a year now, and there's been zero issue with it whatsoever. So like as a bunch of the gun guys on YouTube say, first thing you should get for your rifle is a light and a sling. And I could not really agree more if you wanted to expand your playstyle outside of the daytime.
All right, so that's the AR. Let's look at your AK setup. So let's look at the chest rigs first. So what do you got going there? So these are not as slick daddy, I would say, by the looks of them.
Well, I would argue. I mean, this is just so efficient. I mean, what is this primary role? Storing AK mags.
Yeah.
And what does it do? Store AK mags. How does it do it? Pretty well.
So is this what they would call like a Chi-Com chest rig?
Yeah, it's a Chi-Com. I think 63.
Okay.
But I don't know. Yeah, I did some modifications to it. A lot of people, having done some research on them, I always thought they looked cool. Seeing like Maxog B guys and stuff in NAM wearing that with their like 56 pattern webbing or whatever, always looked so cool to me. And I was like, oh, dude, if I could only like figure out how to achieve that level of coolness, I would be set. So, I got pretty standard chest rig here. I did some mods like I had mentioned. So I did some Velcro here. I super glued it just to get it in place. Then I did some, some tacks with the sewing machine. And so the top of I guess the panel covering, whatever, is Velcroed as well. So it just cinches it all there.
Rather than using the little
Yeah,
buttons.
exactly.
Yeah,
the wooden knobs or whatever are just so antiquated by today's standards.
Mm-hmm.
With everything being so slick, you're just able to like
haul the mag out.
yeah, as opposed to like finicking with that. And as you just saw, I had taped some finger pulls or whatever, mag pulls, onto the magazines at the base. I just did some like friction tape, hockey tape, and some 550 cord. Perfect little setup, gets the job done without breaking the bank. I mean, these two little pockets on the side here, I was like a little apprehensive as to what I was going to do with it, but the radio actually fits in there, so I'm pretty pleased with it. Really not much to say other than it fulfills its single job in life, and that's the whole AK mags. Cal also has one of these. We bought them at the same time. He's working on trying to get some foam inserts for the AR
bottoms?
Yeah, for the AR mags. So really common to see like mods, like because it's in there now and like it's
hard to get out.
It's invisible. So having a bit of foam in there kind of allows it to sit up a bit higher. It makes it a bit more accessible.
Oh, interesting.
If I wanted to do that, which I do, I think. So that's my Chi-Com setup. Now, this is a Tokyo Marui AK Ames or whatever. I'm not an AK guy, so this is just an AK to me. It's a cool looking one because it has the slick
wire stock. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like I just think it looks so. I just bought it because it looked cool. I mean, airsoft is a fashion show, so like it needs to be upgraded like tenfold before I'm able to feel it because like.
I remember we did a training day and like the BBs are basically just rolling out the barrel.
Dude, we could run faster than the BBs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a pretty sick setup. I got it spray painted, obviously, because I just like the way that looks. I've been training with it a bunch, so like reloads, going from an AR style to a rocker style, like an FAL or the AK, it's like no bueno. And you'll notice the sling here. This is like standard sling, nothing fancy about it, but like it functions in the exact same way as my slingster.
Yeah.
Like I'm able to rest it, I'm able to take up aim with it, transition if need be.
Yeah.
So everything is it's just so perfect. Like lending credence to the idea that
you need a sling.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And like when I get my FAL up and running off Pat, like I'm going to be dunking this sling on that, I'm sure.
So yeah, so you've got your FAL. So you've got this rig for your FAL. You don't have your FAL with you here, but that's fine. So this rig here, this looks strange. So tell me about this chest rig.
Yeah, I mean this product is a creation born out of the Rhodesian Bush War. I do not agree with any of the politics that go associated with that.
That's not what we're talking about.
Exactly.
So yeah.
This is a pretty standard chest rig. I got it on Amazon for $20. Like the Tri-Com, it's made from canvas. Mm-hmm. I think this feels really different compared to the other, like the AK one. I don't know what's so different about it. But I had a button pop off, so I have a bunch of buttons kicking it around. So I just kind of put another one on. So I can get two. I have what? 2, 4, 6, 7 FAL mags, and I can hold them all in there perfectly, no issue. Doubles. A common thing is to soak the chest rig in water and put 2 in there at the same time, just to if it has any expansion left, it's going to go with the magazine, so you're able to double stuff them. But yeah, this is a pretty standard chest rig. It's so simple. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, I noticed when I picked it up, it's just basically the mags and just a thin canvas, and that's it. Right?
Yeah, there's like the AK, the Tri-Com. There's nothing on the back. It's just a single piece of canvas.
Yeah, and then, well, like you were saying before, it has one job: carry mags, and that's what it does. It might as well be a bandolier.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean, this is a glorified bandolier, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
There's like some tourniquet holders here. I don't actually know what the sides do. I've seen people put knives, like the M1 Garand bayonet, for example. I've seen that.
Clip a radio to it as well if you need to.
Yeah, you can do it. You can basically do anything with it. Your imagination is your only limitation when it comes to like simple kit like this.
Yeah.
And like as time has gone on, like my kit has just gotten so simple. Like it's just, I want magazines and I want to store them accordingly in a way that kind of looks cool. So that's why I have this, I have that, and I have my other chest rig. Yeah, it's excellent. I'm really excited to feel that this summer.
You are rocking your
M81.
M81 Woodland and your OD Shadow Strategic pants. And I mentioned this in my video with my kit over that you guys were using them. So I'm really glad so you can showcase that piece of kit for sure.
Yeah, so they're basically a knockoff Cry Cut. They all made from ripstop material, so it's sturdy. I've had these for 2 hard seasons of running. Obviously, you can tell by the mud. Like these have definitely been through the ringer, and they've held up so well. Like having knee pads was probably, I would say, it's the biggest improvement to my playing, bar none. And I'd say that it trumps a sling, a light for night games. Just the ability to hit the deck on your knees without impact or without worry of like damaging yourself.
Totally.
Dude, it's night and day.
Yeah, and what I love about these pants in particular is they have a lot of utility, but they also have a lot of adjustment. I think you can cinch these in to match your legs. So if you have little tiny chicken legs because you haven't hit in a gym, you can tighten them up. But then once your legs start growing, you can loosen them to fit.
Exactly.
And same thing with the waist, right? Like you can even do that here just by cinching in the waist, which is super cool. Yeah.
And you got another adjustment point at the ankle there.
The cuff,
one of the most underrated aspects of these pants, I think, is the ability to store a 5.56 mag right here. It is a bit finicky, I will give it that. It's not perfect, but the ability to store 2 additional mags, is one on either side. That's handy.
Awesome, yeah.
So handy. If you don't run a belt system like I do, I just don't run a belt except to keep my pants up. The ability to store an additional 2 mags.
And little pockets in easy to access areas, like on the front here, and like the zip pocket, on an angle, like almost like a flight suit kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And when I had my FAL, and I was able to store the 7.62 mags inside these additional front pockets. So I'm like, 2 additional mags if I needed it. If, like, for whatever reason I couldn't stuff them all into like a chest rig or something. But excellent pair of pants. Really, really recommend them. They don't break the bank. They hold up well.
So this is your modern kit. We've looked at your impression kit before in the past. One of them, yeah. But in addition to that, which we don't have here, is your boots. So you, like the rest of us, have started moving away from the military-style combat boot.
Yeah.
So you have a pair of hikers now that you use as well.
Yeah, I got a pair of like just above the ankle. Like 7 or 8 eyelet style boot, just Columbia waterproofs.
That's all I need.
I've worn them a bunch this winter hiking, and they're excellent.
Yeah.
Like, because I had Solomon's for 2 years now, and they were just a low, like a sneaker type of hiking boot. They're fine. They're definitely fine. Don't get me wrong. Now that I made the transition from a higher supported boot, I'm like, it's kind of hard to really argue against it.
Yeah, like the mid-rise or higher is really what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think they're an excellent pair of boots. This is obviously all the kit that I'm talking about now is Storm Rider centric kit. For me personally, like I also have my Second World War kit. We have the Canadian paras that I demonstrated like 2 years ago or whatever. Mm-hmm. I have a USGI kit, late war, that is completely different. Everything about it is completely different. The mentality that I use when I play is completely different. Obviously, the rifles, the boots, the pants.
Like everything.
I don't wear knee pads or anything, even though I've harped about them saying like they're such a fundamentally important thing. Like I don't wear them then because they didn't wear them. So, in essence, to get it right, I just neglect all those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Johnny, thanks so much for sharing your kit with us, guys.
Yeah,
hopefully this gives you some ideas of what you might want to try, just the same way that my video had given you some of those ideas. You may want to try like a Chicom chest rig. You may want to try short shorts like John.
If you ever have any questions about that, I'm obviously part of the Storm Riders, and I'm on the Discord.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions of like, I have a Chicom, I want to modify it, how do I do it? Just shoot us all a message and we'll get back to you about it.
Yeah, totally. And like Johnny was saying, like the link to join the Discord is in the description below, so definitely check it out if you haven't already. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I know we had a great time shooting it.
Yeah, dude.
If you like what you see, make sure you leave a comment, a like. That really helps us out. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.